The colony ship Horizon moved silently through the darkness of space. Captain Jack Reynolds stood on the bridge, looking at the stars ahead. This was humanity's first real journey into deep space. After years of planning, Earth had finally sent people to find a new home among the stars. "Captain, we're picking up something strange," said Lisa, the ship's sensor officer. Her eyes were fixed on the screen in front of her. Jack walked over. "What is it?" "A signal. Not natural. Someone made it." Jack felt his heart beat faster. This was it. The moment all of humanity had wondered about for centuries. "Are we being hailed?" Lisa nodded. "I think so. The computer is trying to figure it out." Jack took a deep breath. "Alert the crew. First contact protocol. This is not a drill." Within minutes, the bridge was filled with the ship's top officers. Dr. Ellie Morgan, the ship's chief scientist, looked at the data with wide eyes. "It's definitely artificial," she said. "The pattern is too regular to be natural." Tom Walker, the ship's engineer, scratched his beard. "Can we respond?" "We should," said Jack. "That's why we're out here, isn't it? To find others." The communications screen suddenly lit up. The humans gasped as they saw aliens for the first time. They looked somewhat like tall, thin humans, but with purple skin and large black eyes that seemed to see everything. "We are the Vald Confederation," said the alien in the center. Its voice was translated by the computer. "We control this sector of space. Identify yourselves." Jack stepped forward. "I am Captain Jack Reynolds of the Earth ship Horizon. We come in peace, seeking friendship and knowledge." The aliens stared silently for a moment. Then they began talking quickly among themselves in their own language. "Something's wrong," whispered Ellie. The lead alien turned back to the screen. "Your minds. They are strange. Closed. You hide your thoughts." Jack looked confused. "We don't understand. We're being completely open with you." "You are not," said the alien. Its voice was harder now. "All sentient species share thoughts. It is the way of life. But you keep secrets inside your heads. You think in silence." Marcus Stone, the ship's security chief, stepped closer to Jack. "Sir, I don't like this. They sound scared of us." Jack raised his hands in a peaceful gesture. "We mean no harm. Humans don't read minds. We communicate with words and actions." The aliens spoke among themselves again, this time more urgently. Their black eyes kept darting to look at the humans. "You possess the dark thunder," said the lead alien finally. "The what?" asked Jack. "Dark thunder. The ability to hide thoughts, to think in ways we cannot see or feel. It is dangerous." Ellie stepped forward. "Please, we don't understand. We've never met telepathic beings before. Can you explain?" The alien's face changed, showing what might have been fear. "Every evolved species in the galaxy shares a mental connection, a consensus. But you are closed, silent. You could think anything, plan anything, and we would not know until it was too late." "That's just how humans are," said Jack. "We're not hiding anything on purpose." "Lies," shouted the alien suddenly. "We sense gaps in your thoughts, moments of complete darkness. You call it privacy. This is unnatural, frightening." The mood on the bridge grew tense. Stone moved his hand closer to his weapon. "Don't," whispered Jack. "We need to stay peaceful." The alien leader turned to speak to someone off-screen. When it turned back, its voice was cold. "The Vald Council has made a decision. Your kind is too unpredictable, too dangerous to join the galactic community. For the safety of all, you must be contained." The screen went dark. "That doesn't sound good," said Tom. Alarms suddenly blared across the ship. "Multiple ships approaching," shouted Lisa. "They're powering weapons." "Shields up," ordered Jack. "All hands to emergency stations." The first blast hit the horizon before the shields were fully ready. The ship shook violently, throwing people to the floor. "Return fire?" asked Stone, pulling himself up. Jack hesitated. "No, maybe we can still talk." Another blast hit, bigger this time. Part of the bridge exploded in sparks and smoke. "Hull breach on decks 4 through 7, shouted Tom. "Captain, we're taking heavy damage." Jack made his decision. "Return fire, defensive pattern only, and prepare the emergency shuttles. We might need to abandon ship." The Horizon fought back, but it was clear they were outmatched. The Valthid ships were faster and had better weapons. "Captain, we've lost engines," Tom reported. "Life support failing on lower decks." Jack looked around at his crew, at the smoke filling the bridge and the damage reports flooding in. "Order all remaining crew to the emergency shuttles. We have to abandon ship." As they ran through the corridors, Ellie grabbed Jack's arm. "Why? Why are they so afraid of us?" "I don't know," said Jack. "But they called it Dark Thunder. Something about how our minds work." They reached the shuttle bay just as another explosion rocked the ship. Only 3 shuttles remained undamaged. "How many crew left?" Jack asked. "Less than 40, said Stone grimly. "Out of 300. Jack felt sick. This was supposed to be a mission of peace and discovery. Now most of his crew was dead because aliens were afraid of how humans think. "Everyone on board. Now," he ordered. They barely managed to launch the shuttles before the Horizon exploded behind them. Jack watched from the small window as the ship that had been their home burned and broke apart. "Stealth systems active," reported Tom from the shuttle's controls. "They might not be able to track us." "Where do we go?" asked Ellie. "We're billions of miles from Earth." Jack looked at the few survivors crowded into the small shuttle. "We warn Earth somehow, and we figure out what this dark thunder is that scares them so much." As the shuttle disappeared into the darkness of space, the Valthid ships continued to fire at the wreckage of the Horizon. They were making sure nothing survived, but something had survived. And now humanity knew they weren't alone in the universe, and that the universe feared them for reasons they didn't yet understand. 3 weeks had passed since the attack. The small shuttle drifted near an asteroid field, its systems running on minimal power to avoid detection. Inside, the survivors of the Horizon lived in cramped conditions, rationing food and water. Captain Jack Reynolds looked at the tired faces around him. Only 38 people had survived the attack. 38 out of 300. "What's our status, Tom?" Jack asked. Tom Walker wiped sweat from his forehead. The engineer had been working non-stop to keep the shuttle functioning. "Not good, Captain. We have maybe 2 weeks of life support left, and the stealth systems are starting to fail." "Any luck with communications?" Jack turned to Lisa. She shook her head. "Nothing that would reach Earth. But I did pick up some Valthid transmissions. They're still looking for us." "And they're calling us what?" "Monsters." Marcus Stone's voice was bitter. The security chief had lost many friends in the attack. "They're calling us Dark Thunder Carriers," said Dr. Ellie Morgan. She hadn't slept much since the attack, spending most of her time studying the data they had on the Valthid. "I've been thinking about what they said, about how our minds work differently." Jack sat down beside her. "Tell me what you've learned." Ellie pulled up some notes on her tablet. "From what I can piece together, almost every advanced species in this part of the galaxy evolved with some form of telepathy or shared consciousness. They can sense each other's thoughts and intentions. But humans can't," said Tom. "Exactly." Ellie nodded. "We evolved completely isolated, with fully internalized thought processes. To them, our minds appear dark, empty at times, unpredictable. So they attacked us because they can't read our minds." Marcus sounded angry. "That's their excuse for killing our people." "Fear often leads to violence," said Jack quietly. "They see us as dangerous because they can't predict what we'll do." Ellie's eyes suddenly lit up. "Wait. If they fear what they can't see, maybe that's our advantage." "What do you mean?" asked Jack. I've been reading some of the Vald transmissions we intercepted. They describe moments when our thoughts suddenly disappear from their perception. It seems to terrify them. So, Marcus frowned. So what if we could control that? What if we could deliberately make our thoughts invisible to them? Ellie was getting excited. It would be like becoming ghosts. Jack leaned forward. Is that possible? I think so, said Ellie. From what I understand, they can sense our surface thoughts, our immediate intentions. But when we enter certain mental states, deep concentration, meditation, or even just focusing intensely on a single point, we seem to disappear from their perception. A ghost protocol, whispered Jack. We could move among them unseen. Not physically unseen, corrected Ellie, but mentally. They wouldn't feel our presence the way they feel each other. Tom looked skeptical. So we think really hard about nothing, and they can't see us. It's more complicated than that, said Ellie. But yes, in simple terms, I think we need to practice specific thought patterns that block their ability to sense us. Jack stood up. Start teaching everyone. If we can master this, we might stand a chance. He turned to Lisa. While we work on the ghost protocol, keep scanning for any information about what the Vald are planning. Days passed as the survivors practiced Ellie's technique. Some learned quickly, able to enter the focused mental state that blocked Vald perception. Others struggled. Jack mastered it faster than most. It's like going into a zone, he explained to the others. Like when you're so focused on something that everything else disappears. On the 7th day, Lisa burst into the main cabin. Captain, I've intercepted a high-priority Vald transmission. It's bad news. The survivors gathered around as she played the message. Though translated by their computer, the alien words chilled them. Threat assessment complete. Human homeworld located in Sector 8, System 42. The species possesses the dark thunder at unprecedented levels. Recommend immediate containment response before they realize their potential. Fleet assembly has begun. Estimated time to launch, 30 standard cycles. Silence filled the shuttle as the message ended. They found Earth, whispered Tom. And they're sending a fleet to contain us, added Marcus. Just like they tried to contain the horizon. Jack's face hardened. How long is 30 standard cycles in our time? Lisa calculated quickly. About 2 Earth months. So we have 2 months to warn Earth about an alien fleet coming to wipe us out, said Jack. And we're stranded billions of miles away with a failing shuttle. Ellie stepped forward. There's more in the transmission. The Vald aren't the only species in this sector. There's mention of a trading outpost near here, a place called Krell Station. Can we reach it? Asked Jack. Tom checked the navigation system. Yes, but it's risky. It's a major hub. Vald ships will be there. It's also our only chance, said Jack. If we can get to Krell Station, maybe we can find a way to send a message to Earth, or even get a faster ship. And we have the ghost protocol, added Ellie. If we can make our minds invisible to them, we might be able to move through the station without them sensing us. Jack looked around at the faces of his crew. I won't lie to you. This is dangerous. But the lives of everyone on Earth depend on us getting this warning home. Marcus checked his weapon. When do we leave? Right now, said Jack. Tom, set course for Krell Station. Maximum stealth approach. As the shuttle changed direction, heading toward the trading outpost, Jack stared out at the stars. 2 billion humans on Earth had no idea what was coming for them. They didn't know that the very way their minds worked was seen as a threat by the dominant powers in this part of the galaxy. We'll need to be like ghosts, he told his crew. Invisible, silent, but very, very real. The shuttle accelerated, a tiny vessel carrying humanity's only warning of the storm that was coming. Krell Station hung in space like a giant metal spider. Ships of all sizes and shapes moved around it, coming and going from different parts of the galaxy. The human shuttle approached slowly, keeping to the shadow of a large cargo vessel. Scanning for Vald ships, whispered Lisa, though there was no need to whisper in the shuttle. "How many?" asked Jack. "3 at least. 1 large warship and 2 smaller patrol vessels." Jack looked at his crew. They had been practicing the Ghost Protocol for days now. Some were better at it than others. "Remember, stay focused on the mental techniques Dr. Morgan taught you," he said. "We need to be invisible to their minds." Ellie nodded. "The technique works best when you focus on a single, simple image, something peaceful and unchanging." "I've been picturing a white wall," said Tom. "I imagine a still lake," said Marcus. Jack smiled. "Whatever works for you. Just keep it up when we're around the Valthid." They docked at a quiet part of the station, using fake identification codes Tom had created. As they prepared to leave the shuttle, Jack made a difficult decision. "We need to split up," he said. "We'll cover more ground that way." "That's risky," warned Marcus. "Everything about this is risky," replied Jack. "But we need information, supplies, and hopefully a faster ship or a way to send a message to Earth." They divided into 4 teams. Jack would search for information about Earth and the Valthid plans. Ellie would look for more data about how the alien telepathy worked. Tom would try to find a better ship or parts to improve their shuttle. Marcus would create a diversion if needed. "Meet back here in 6 hours," ordered Jack. "And remember, Ghost Protocol at all times." Commander Vorax of the Valthid Defense Force stood on the bridge of his warship, staring at the endless stream of ships coming and going from Krell Station. Somewhere out there were the human survivors. He could feel it. "Sir, we've checked every incoming vessel for the past 3 days," said his second-in-command. "No sign of the humans." Vorax's purple skin darkened with frustration. "They are here. I know it. How can you be sure?" "Because I feel gaps. Moments where my mind touches nothing when it should touch something." Vorax turned to his crew. "Increase telepathic scanning. Focus on areas where you sense emptiness." His officers nodded and began to concentrate, sending their thoughts out across the station, searching for the unique blankness that signaled human presence. Jack moved through the crowded marketplace of Krell Station, keeping his mind focused on his chosen image, a single candle flame, burning steadily. Around him, aliens of many different species traded goods and information. Some looked almost human. Others were completely different, floating gas creatures, insect-like beings, things Jack couldn't even describe. He found an information terminal and plugged in a translation device Ellie had programmed. Searching carefully, he began to look for data about the Valthid fleet movements. Across the station, Ellie had found a public library of sorts. She was downloading everything she could about alien biology and telepathy. The more she learned, the more she understood why humans frightened the Valthid so much. "We're evolutionary outliers," she muttered to herself. "Almost every other intelligent species developed some form of shared consciousness. They can't imagine thinking completely alone inside your own head." Tom had made his way to the ship repair docks, looking for parts or maybe even a small, fast ship they could borrow. He kept his mind blank, focusing on the sound of his own heartbeat as Ellie had taught him. Marcus had the most dangerous job. He was closest to the Valthid security forces, observing them, learning their patterns. If anything went wrong, he would create a distraction. 2 hours into their mission, Marcus felt a strange pressure in his head. It was like someone was pushing against his thoughts. He strengthened his mental image, a stone wall, and kept walking. But the pressure grew stronger. The Valthid officer suddenly turned and looked directly at him. "You," the alien called. "Stop there." Marcus ran. The Valthid officer gave chase, calling for backup. Marcus knew he couldn't lead them back to the shuttle. He had to draw them away from the others. He touched the communicator hidden in his ear. "I've been spotted. Implementing diversion plan." "Be careful," came Jack's voice. Marcus ran into a crowded area, then suddenly stopped and let the Valthid catch up to him. As they surrounded him, weapons drawn, he smiled. "Take me to Commander Vorax," he said. "I have information he wants." On the Valthid warship, Vorex stared at the human prisoner. Where are the others? Marcus kept his mind focused on his stone wall. What others? I'm the only survivor. Vorex moved closer. Lies. I feel the emptiness in your mind. The dark thunder. I don't know what you're talking about, said Marcus. You will tell us eventually, said Vorex. No species can resist a full telepathic probe. The aliens surrounded Marcus, their black eyes staring intently. He felt the pressure in his head grow until it was almost unbearable, but he held on to his mental image, refusing to let them see his thoughts. Hours passed. The Valthid grew frustrated. They had never encountered a mind that could resist them for so long. Impossible, whispered one of the officers. He should have broken immediately. Vorex's skin darkened with anger. The dark thunder is stronger than we thought. This changes everything. Meanwhile, Jack had found what he was looking for. The Valthid fleet was indeed preparing to attack Earth. But there was something else. Not all species in the galaxy agreed with the Valthid plan. Some thought humans should be studied, not destroyed. One name kept appearing. The Mithrans, a species that had once fought against the Valthid Confederation and lost. Jack sent a message to Ellie and Tom. Meet at the shuttle. I have information, and we need to find the Mithrans. They might help us. As he made his way back, carefully keeping his mind focused, Jack knew they couldn't leave without Marcus, but he also knew Marcus had sacrificed himself to give them time. We'll come back for you, Jack promised silently. But first, we need to find allies in this fight. The hunt for the humans continued across Krell Station, but the Valthid were learning a hard lesson. When humans didn't want to be found, they could make their very thoughts disappear like ghosts in the night. The small mining colony of Raxus was hidden in an asteroid belt at the edge of Valthid space. It was here that Jack, Helly, and Tom had found the Mithrans, a species that had once fought against the Valthid and lost. The Mithran leader, Karn, was tall and thin with gray skin and 6 fingers on each hand. He listened carefully as Jack explained what had happened to the horizon and how the humans had discovered their dark thunder ability. We've heard rumors about your kind, said Karn when Jack finished. The Valthid fear what they cannot control, and they cannot control minds they cannot read. We need your help, said Jack. We have to rescue our friend Marcus, and then warn Earth about the coming attack. Karn's large eyes blinked slowly. The Valthid have likely taken your friend to their main ship. Breaking in would be suicide. Not if they can't detect us, said Ellie. She stepped forward. We've been developing what we call the Ghost Protocol, a way to hide our thoughts from them. Show me, said Karn. Ellie demonstrated, focusing her mind on her chosen image, a blue ocean wave, frozen in time. Karn, who had some telepathic ability like many species in the galaxy, tried to sense her thoughts. His eyes widened. Remarkable. You simply disappear. But it's not enough, said Ellie. The technique works, but it's hard to maintain while doing complex tasks, and we're still detectable if they're actively searching for that emptiness. What we need, said Jack, is something stronger, something that doesn't just hide us, but actually confuses or disrupts their telepathic abilities. Tom, who had been quiet, suddenly spoke up. What if we could amplify the effect? Make it so strong that it doesn't just hide us, but actively pushes back against their telepathy. Ellie looked at him with excitement. That's brilliant, Tom. If we could create some kind of telepathic jamming field. The ultimate dark thunder, whispered Jack. Karn led them to a small workshop. My people have studied Valthid telepathy for generations, trying to find ways to shield ourselves. Perhaps together, we can create what you need. For the next 3 days, they worked tirelessly. Ellie studied the Mithran research on telepathy, while Tom used his engineering skills to build a device that could amplify human brainwaves. The key is emotion, said Ellie one night, after hours of testing. I've noticed that certain emotional states make the dark thunder effect stronger. What emotions? Asked Jack. Righteous anger, protective instincts, the drive to defend others. Ellie looked up from her notes. The same emotions that make humans fight hardest also make our thoughts most invisible to them. Jack nodded slowly. So to defeat them, we need to channel what makes us most human. By the fourth day, they had created what Ellie called the Dark Thunder Protocol, a combination of mental techniques, emotional focus, and a small device that amplified these effects. "It's ready for testing," she announced. Jack strapped the small device to his wrist. It looked like a simple metal bracelet. "How does it work?" "Focus on your strongest protective instinct," instructed Ellie. "Think about Earth, about all the people who will die if we fail. Let that emotion fill you, but direct it through your chosen mental image." Jack closed his eyes. He thought about Earth, the blue oceans, green forests, the billions of people who had no idea what was coming. He channeled that protective feeling through his mental image of a candle flame. The device on his wrist hummed softly. Karn, who had been watching, suddenly stumbled back. "By the stars, he's gone completely. And there's a pressure. Like his absence is pushing against my mind." Ellie grinned. "It works. The Dark Thunder Protocol doesn't just hide you. It actively disrupts their telepathy." Tom lifted his small communication device. "I've been monitoring Vald communications. Marcus is definitely on Commander Vorex's ship. They've been trying to break him for days, but haven't succeeded." "Then it's time," said Jack. "We rescue Marcus, and we stop the Vald fleet." Karn provided them with a small, fast ship. It wasn't much, but it had powerful stealth technology the Mithrans had developed to hide from Vald patrols. "Remember," warned Ellie as they prepared to leave, "the Dark Thunder Protocol is powerful, but it has limits. The devices will only work for about 6 hours before needing to recharge, and maintaining the mental focus is exhausting." "6 hours should be enough," said Jack. "We get in, free Marcus, access their communication array, and get out." Tom looked worried. "And how exactly do we find Vorex's ship?" Jack smiled grimly. "We won't have to. According to the intel we gathered, he's coming here." "What?" Ellie looked alarmed. "How do they know we're here?" "They don't," said Jack. "But the Vald have been suspicious of the Mithrans for years. They do regular patrols through this sector. Vorex's ship will be here in approximately 12 hours. "So we're not breaking into his ship," said Tom slowly. "We're going to let him come to us, and then sneak aboard." "Exactly." Commander Vorex stood on the bridge of his warship, staring at the Mithran mining colony. He didn't trust these former rebels, always lurking at the edge of Vald space. "Standard patrol sweep," he ordered, "and keep telepathic sensors at maximum." Those humans could be anywhere. In his holding cell, Marcus had endured days of telepathic probing. They had tried everything to break through his mental defenses, but he had held firm, focusing on his image of a stone wall. He was exhausted, but unbroken. He didn't know that at that very moment, 3 humans were slipping aboard the Vald warship, their minds completely invisible thanks to the Dark Thunder Protocol. Jack, Ellie, and Tom moved like ghosts through the ship. The Vald crew walked right past them, their telepathic senses encountering only a strange pressure that they couldn't identify. "This way," whispered Jack, checking a small device Karn had given them. "The detention level is 2 decks down." As they moved deeper into the ship, Jack felt a sense of grim satisfaction. The Vald had attacked humanity because they feared what they couldn't understand. Now that very thing, the Dark Thunder, would become humanity's greatest weapon and their best chance for survival. The ultimate human ghost was on the hunt. The detention level of the Vald warship was eerily quiet. Guards stood at attention, their purple skin reflecting the dim blue lights. None of them noticed the 3 humans walking right past them, protected by the Dark Thunder Protocol. "Cell Block 7, whispered Jack, checking the small device Karn had given them. "That's where they're keeping Marcus." They found him sitting cross-legged on the floor of his cell, eyes closed. Even after days of telepathic interrogation, Marcus was still maintaining his mental shield. "Marcus," whispered Jack as they entered. "It's us." Marcus opened his eyes slowly, as if afraid to believe what he was seeing. "Captain, how did you—" "No time to explain," said Jack, handing him a Dark Thunder device. "Put this on and focus on your mental image. We're getting out of here." "Not yet," said Marcus, standing up. His face was thin from lack of food, but his eyes burned with determination. "We need to stop the Valthid fleet. They've been interrogating me for days, and I've learned things. The attack on Earth is happening sooner than we thought." "How soon?" asked Ellie. 3 days. They're accelerating their plans because they're afraid of what they call the Dark Thunder potential in humans." Marcus strapped the device to his wrist. "Commander Vorax has the launch codes. The entire fleet follows his command." Jack's expression hardened. "Then we don't just escape. We take control of this ship. The bridge is heavily guarded," warned Marcus. "And while the Dark Thunder protocol makes us invisible to their minds, they can still see us with their eyes." "Then we need a distraction," said Tom. He pulled out a small device. "I brought some of the mining explosives from the Mithran colony. We plant these in the engine room, and when they go off, most of the crew will respond to the emergency. That's when we take the bridge," finished Jack, "and use their own communication array to stop the attack." The plan was set. Tom went to the engine room to plant the explosives, while the others made their way toward the bridge. All 4 humans moved like phantoms through the ship, their minds hidden by the Dark Thunder protocol. In the engine room, Tom carefully placed the explosives in non-critical areas. They would create noise and confusion, but wouldn't destroy the ship. As he worked, he thought about Earth, about all the people who would die if they failed. The protective feeling strengthened his mental shield. On the bridge, Commander Vorax suddenly gripped the arms of his chair. "Something is wrong," he said to his officers. "I feel pressure, gaps in my perception." "We've detected nothing unusual," Commander said, his second-in-command. "Increase telepathic scanning. Focus on the areas where you sense nothing." Vorax's skin darkened with frustration. "The humans are here. I can feel their absence." The explosion rocked the ship before anyone could respond. Warning lights flashed across the bridge. "Engine room reports multiple detonations," shouted an officer. "No critical damage, but fires on decks 4 and 5. "Send security teams," ordered Vorax, "and maintain your positions here. This could be a—" The doors to the bridge slid open, seemingly on their own. Then, suddenly, 4 humans appeared, weapons drawn. "Nobody move," said Jack. "This ship is now under our control." The Valthid officers froze, their black eyes wide with shock. They could see the humans now, but their minds still couldn't sense them. It was like looking at walking ghosts. "Impossible," whispered Vorax. "The Dark Thunder protocol," said Jack, pointing his weapon at the commander. "You feared what you didn't understand about humans. Now you're going to see exactly why you should have left us alone." Ellie moved to the communication console. "I need access to the fleet-wide broadcast system." A terrified Valthid officer stepped aside, letting her work. "What are you going to do?" "Show the galaxy what the Valthid are planning," said Jack. "Your leaders want to destroy Earth because they fear us. But we're not the monsters here." Ellie worked quickly, accessing the ship's systems. "I'm in the fleet network. I can broadcast to all Valthid ships and nearby systems." "Do it," ordered Jack. Ellie activated the broadcast. "This is Dr. Ellie Morgan of Earth. We are broadcasting proof that the Valthid Confederation is planning genocide against our world." She transferred the data they had gathered. The fleet plans, the orders to contain Earth, the intercepted communications that showed how the Valthid had attacked the horizon without provocation. "We came in peace," continued Jack, stepping in front of the camera. "We wanted friendship and knowledge. Instead, you attacked us because our minds are different from yours." On the bridge, the Valthid officers watched in horror as their secret plans were broadcast across the sector. "You can't do this," hissed Vorex. "You'll create chaos in the Confederation." "Good," said Marcus, who hadn't lowered his weapon. "Maybe some of the other species will realize what you're really like." As the broadcast continued, the four humans suddenly concentrated, focusing all their emotion and mental energy through the Dark Thunder protocol. The devices on their wrists hummed louder. The effect was immediate. Every Valthid on the bridge collapsed to their knees, clutching their heads. The telepathic feedback was overwhelming. Four human minds projecting absolute emptiness, creating a psychic dead zone that paralyzed the telepathic Valthid. "What are you doing to us?" gasped Vorex. "Showing you the full power of Dark Thunder," said Ellie. "This is what you feared, the ability of human minds to be completely closed to you." The effect spread throughout the ship as they amplified the signal. Valthid crew members everywhere experienced the same psychic shock. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, the broadcast changed. A new signal was coming in. "Captain Reynolds, this is Admiral Chen of the Earth Defense Fleet. We received fragments of your warning weeks ago and have been searching for you. We're approaching Valthid space now with a diplomatic mission." Jack stared at the screen in disbelief. "Earth knows. When we lost contact with the horizon, we prepared for the worst," explained the Admiral. "We've been monitoring alien communications, trying to find out what happened." Across the sector, the political landscape was changing by the minute. Several species in the Confederation were openly questioning Valthid leadership. The plan to attack Earth without provocation had shocked many of their allies. Jack turned to Vorex, who was still recovering from the psychic assault. "It seems you have a choice to make, Commander. Continue with your plans and face not only humanity but your own allies who now know the truth, or stand down." Vorex looked at the humans, these strange beings whose minds he couldn't read, but who had chosen not to kill them when they had the chance. "I will stand down." 3 days later, a delegation from Earth arrived. For the first time, humans and Valthid sat together at a diplomatic table. The Dark Thunder was no longer just feared, it was respected. "The galaxy will have to get used to minds they cannot read," said Admiral Chen during the negotiations. "And we will have to learn to live with species who think very differently than we do." Jack, Ellie, Tom, and Marcus watched from the side of the room, still wearing their Dark Thunder devices just in case. "So what happens now?" asked Tom. Jack smiled. "Now we do what we came out here to do in the first place. We explore. We learn. We make friends when possible. And enemies only when necessary," added Ellie. As they stood watching humans and aliens beginning to understand each other, Jack thought about how far they had come. What the Valthid had feared most about humanity, their private minds, their Dark Thunder, had become humanity's greatest strength and the foundation of their place in the galaxy. Humanity had made its stand, not through overwhelming force, but by turning what made them different into what made them strong.